Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode from HolsingerSupplyShop.com. Bringing you another video this week, and this one's completely different than what you're used to. I'm not going to do any tying in this video, but I'm going to go over some things tying related, and that is craft store materials. I've been tying for 38 years now, 36 years, something like that. And when I started out, we didn't have fly shops to get. We did have fly shops, but I had to travel to get to one. And you know, when I was 12 years old, it was when my parents went to the fly shop, that kind of things, mail order back then. But just didn't have the materials that we have today. And you picked them up anywhere you could, be it a craft store or anything like that. So I've used all kinds of materials over the years. But there's some things that I pick up at craft stores that, you know, that you can't find in a fly shop, or you can just find different colors of, or things like that in the craft store when you're out shopping with the wife or something like that. So here's a couple ideas to give you to, you know, pay attention to when you're out shopping. Want to try something different on the vise, have fun with it. So one of the first things I'm going to start out with, one of the first things that I started tying with was embroidery thread. The same stuff when you were a kid, or your kids now make friendship bracelets out of. You know, this stuff is great. Here you're going to see one of the flies that I tie with it. This is a woven check nymph. Great pattern, has caught tons and tons of fish over the years. Just really cool, and you can really get creative with your color schemes and stuff with doing woven stone flies work really well too. That's another great thing. This embroidery thread, tons of different colors. Go check out my baby rainbow streamer. That has a metallic thread in it that's really nice, and that fly catches me tons of fish. Another kind of embroidery thread made by the same company, DMC, is on this spool here, and this is a metallic silver. Really cool stuff. Here you see a picture of a perdigon I tied with it. I used it for the rib. It's actually 6 strands. I peel off the 6, I cut a short piece of it and then peel the strands out. I get a really nice thin piece of tinsel that I'm using to make my wraps on my perdigon, so I can keep a real nice tight one and get that nice silver color. So just something, you know, keep your eyes on when you're in the craft store. Be thinking of this kind of stuff. Another thing while I'm at the craft stores, I like to grab glass beads. I use these for different things. I've tied bodies on stoneflies. You've seen a couple different patterns. Guys use them to make scuds out of. Here you're going to see a pregnant scud using a glass bead right now. Just experiment, try different things with them. You can do a lot of different things with these glass beads. Another thing I've done, I've downsized my steelhead candy for trout. Here's one, just a regular nymph pattern, kind of like my original steelhead candy, but you know, one that's going to get down, not going to have much to keep it from dropping to sink quick or whatever. And here you see an egg pattern, an ecstasy egg with a little bit of an egg sticking off the back, just a little bit extra for the fish to catch their eye, a little bit of flash there. So lots of things. Be thinking of things like this. Use those glass beads. Just another cool thing you can use here. One thing I found the other day, I was tying craft fur. There's tons and tons of craft fur in there, lots of different shapes and sizes. It's hard to find long craft fur. One of the things I am going to say about this, go into the craft store, you're not going to find the same quality of material as you find in the fly tying shops. The stuff we carry in the shop is stuff that's geared towards fly fishermen. We have a specific need, we have a want for it. This is just generic stuff that you're grabbing at the craft store. But I grabbed this because you can see the different colors on it. And here you see, I had to tie some finger mullets for a guy. Here you see a cool little finger mullet I tied using the different colors, the pink and the blue in this, or the green, whatever color, just to give it a little bit different, you know, something different for the fish to see. Try to think outside the box. When you see something like this, grab it. Okay, one of the things that I use the most from the craft store that you can find in the fly shops, but you can grab these at the craft store. They're cheap to pick up. You can get packages with, you know, many different colors in it. That's foam. I use craft foam a ton. You see it in a bunch of my videos. Here's an Amy's ant that I just had to tie for an order. Guy had a lot of success fishing an Amy's ant. It was in pink. we don't carry pink at the fly shop, so I grabbed some at the craft store and I tied up his order for these Amy's ants, which he wanted. You know, you have a plethora of different color options when you hit the craft store for stuff like foam. That's one of the reasons to check that out. Another reason, another thing that I use a lot from craft stores is yarns, different kinds of yarns to do different kinds of flies. One thing I use a lot of is like chenille kind of yarns. You can check the lawn yarn area. You can find different things. This is a real small chenille. You can use the palmer for a collar on a nymph or something like that. Or you can even find kind of like UV polar chenille, really long. And here you're going to see, here you see a little jig that I tie, that I actually fish using this stuff. Just gets lots of life, lots of action. And I'm going to show you another fly here in a little bit that's going to have this on it also. Lots of cool stuff to use for this. It's hard to find them, hard to find color selections. That's, you know, when you go, you're limited to what they have at the at the craft store, because that's not one of the run-of-the-mill things that people use a lot of, but you never know what you're going to find. At the fly shops, we're going to be specialized in the colors that are geared towards the fly fisherman, what they want. So that's, like I said, that's the difference where you gotta give a little to get a little sometimes. Another kind of yarn that I use is this Burnett baby blanket yarn. Here you're going to see one of John Collins, one of his sculpins. This is a really cool pattern. He uses this. It's really nice and easy to work with to make the bodies on it. Works great. Just thinking outside the box. John used this stuff to make the bodies on his flies. It works great. I've used it on other flies too. Just something different used. You always be thinking outside of the box. That's what makes you a better fly tyer. Now, another thing that I found while I was at the craft store the other day, actually, I was there and I found this pack of assorted guinea feathers. I use guinea feathers and I buy them at the store, at the shop, I mean. I get the colors that I use a lot of, my reds and oranges and blues. Greens and blues and oranges. Those are the three colors that I use mainly in my steelhead candy patterns. So I get them in the big skein. I want a whole lot of them, and they're good quality feathers that you're going to get from the fly shop. Here's a bag I got for $2. It has a whole lot of feathers. They're not great quality feathers. They're not great, but for flies that I want to tie, like here you're going to see a picture of a steelhead spay fly that I just tied. I used I used a pink guinea feather on the front to make that collar to finish the fly off. I don't need to buy a whole pack of guinea feathers to tie one or two flies just for the fun of it. I like to tie spay flies just for fun. You know, that's my, when I'm tying nymphs over and over and I need a break, I'll tie a spay fly or some kind of streamer, and I don't want to have on hand a whole big thing of guinea feathers just to tie one pattern. So having a grab bag like that of different colors is really nice and comes in handy. Also, on that fly, I use this as the underwing to get my marabou to stand out. Works great. You can just barely see it. It gives a little bit of flash on the underwing there. So that's another cool thing you can think of. Last thing I'm going to show you, you might not think of, is wash gloves. You know, you can find these at the dollar store or Walmart, or sometimes at the craft store too. Here you're going to see a cool little caddis pattern. I was at IKEA the other weekend and saw this green one, and I thought, man, that is the perfect color for a caddis. So I wasn't walking by it. I threw it in the bag. My wife looked at it. What do you need that for? And I said, that's caddis bodies. So I actually have used it on a dry fly caddis too, and it looks great. So like I said, always thinking outside of the box, trying to find different materials. Anyways, guys, hope that gives you some ideas on your next trip to the craft store. I know it's not a tie-in video, but there's lots of flies involved in it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment down below. Tell me things that you use that you find from the craft store. I'd love to hear it. And thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for supporting our channel at HolsingersFlyShop.com. Until next week, I'm Shawn Holsinger.